Good morning and welcome to City Talk. It's a weekly radio program, it's a podcast, it's a television program that we produce here at the City of Waco to educate and inform you about the operation and work of the City of Waco. I'm Larry Holsey, Director of Municipal Information for the city, your host for this program. Today I'd like to welcome Mike Stone, who is Executive Director of Grassroots.
Thank you for inviting me today.
Oh, yes. You've been on here every year or so. You all do so many great things, but Grassroots has evolved from a different name that we used to know you from.
Right.
But go back even before then and tell
Sure.
our viewers and listeners about how your organization, now called Grassroots, is evolved and how it's, what it's made up of.
Sure. Grassroots was started at Waco Community Development, and it started 5 business people here in town got together for breakfast and lunch, and they studied different ministries across the nation, trying to find something that was similar to Waco and that they could use their business skills to help people in need in Waco. So they spent 2 years talking and studying, reading books and looking at different models. And they found a group out of Atlanta called Fcs Ministries, a gentleman by the name Bob Lupton. He's the one who was he started that entity, and it's been there for 30 plus years, maybe 40 years now. And they went and visited with them to figure out what they do, and then had him come over here and work with the soon-to-be board. It wasn't even an entity; it was just an idea. So, so they started and they formed Waco Community Development, and then we've since changed our name to Grassroots Community Development. So, just one word difference. But the focus has been on inner city development and community development. So that means that we're focused at the ground level, helping folks either become homeowners or strengthen their communities, or all different projects every day. And one of those that we'll talk about later is roof repairs. So helping existing homeowners keep their homes and keep them in good condition and whatnot. So,
well, obviously, we at the city are always really thrilled with what you all and the organization Grassroots has been doing for years now, making living conditions, first of all, in homes a lot better, giving opportunities for people to be in a home prior to maybe renting all their lives and getting out of that particular syndrome, as it may be, or circle of life, and making affordable housing available. And a good example of that is what you did right off of Waco Drive on 15th Street. You built a number of homes over there,
right.
Gave the opportunity for people to get into those with very special financing or very special funding.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to get into our main focus, like you said, about the roof program, because roof is the top thing of a house. And
it is literally the top. Yeah.
A whole house can end up rotting and going bad.
Right.
You know, talk real quick about
Well, when we started, several of our board members had a lot of focus on roofs. On real estate. So we had a mortgage broker, a commercial realtor, a lawyer, and a builder developer. So very focused on the residential side, and that resonated with them because they understood how you build a house, how you build subdivisions and that whatnot. So they understood that. So when we first started, the number one focus was how to increase the number of homeowners in Waco. And that came from the tutelage of Bob Lupton, what I mentioned earlier. And he said, if you want to have a long-lasting impact, you want to have more homeowners in a community than renters. So that was the driving force of, okay, let's build more homes and make them available for sale, for people to buy, and then make it affordable for people to buy. So that's what we started, and we picked North Waco, 15th and Waco Drive to start, and there were 4 lots right there, and we started right there. We put it welcome to the neighborhood sign on the corner there to help signify the change, and that's been almost 20 years now. So we have probably 65 homes just in that neighborhood there that we've built. Other builders have come and built houses there. Habitat's built a bunch of houses in the neighborhood. The really encouraging part is all the renovations that have occurred. So lots of folks have renovated their houses along there. Probably 150 in the neighborhood in there, of a community of about 800, at least 150 that we know of there. The most famous one is, Clint Harp and his right next to his shop there. He renovated that. But there's been numerous regular folks that have seen what's been going on around them and were inspired, and they renovated their house and made it a little bit better. And it's helped that whole community. The 15th Street corridor is very...
well, it's an older part of our city. It's one of the earlier parts, and it has evolved now into a younger part, a newer part. Many of the houses had either burned down or been destroyed or not properly kept, multi-generational type homes. And so it's brought new life. And, of course, the city got involved primarily back in the day, 20 more years ago at least. I know right when I came for the city, one of those things we were talking about, how we were upside down on our rental versus ownership.
Correct.
The percentages were not matching up. We wanted more people to be owners, which means you really buy in on the community. And, when you have an ownership in a property, you're going to take care of it better. You're going to be a better neighbor. And you're going to want better neighbors. And so that's just a natural thing. So I think, what you've done with that whole area in the 15th and the whole North Waco area, like you talked about.
Right. And you heard me talking. It wasn't just us. It was lots of people.
Yeah. No.
So, and it, I keep telling people that, the condition of the neighborhood didn't get over there overnight, and it's not going to get better overnight. So it takes time.
Good point.
You mentioned there's a lot of vacant lots around, and there have been. And, they used to have homes there. Yeah. But they're over 100 years old now. So that naturally, unfortunately, fires and bulldozers and stuff have caused some of those to go away. So, but now we've been able to backfill them with newer homes. They're really nice, energy efficient homes. So it's it's much more affordable for a family to live in a new home than it is an older home.
And most of them in very beautiful tree-covered lots.
Yeah.
Or if you go to the new subdivisions, you have to plant the little brand new tree, and it's a new house. But,
no, these trees are older than you and I combined.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's hard to find.
Yes.
But that's why it attracts people, and it is in the heart of the city, the core of the city as it is. And it's a great opportunity. So you, along with other partners, Neighbor Works and Habitat and some of those other ones, are regularly working to build houses, affordable houses, for people using various funds that are available, either financially contracts with the CDBG or some of the other federal funds and grants and things that we're getting. So anyway, well, let's get down to what we talked about. This is the subject that you came to is the roof repair, because that's, even though you still do full house, construction and rehabbing of houses along with other partners, roof is kind of what you've kind of been able to focus in on, and that helps people, because a lot of times a homeowner does not have the $5,000, $4,000, whatever it is, dollars or more to fix or replace a roof.
Right.
And the house itself becomes to deteriorate because of rot and all that kind of stuff too. So talk about that program and how the city works with you. I know we had Renisha Hudlin and we had Marcus Davila on here last week in our Housing and Code Enforcement Department. Right. And they had mentioned the roof. I said, we're going to have Mike on. And so here you are. So.
We've been a long-time partner with each other. The city has helped us out with a volunteer program where we've had volunteers come from all over the state, actually all over the country, come to Waco and re-roof houses. And we use volunteers. That was a focused, 1 week or maybe 2 weeks of the year we were able to do some roof projects. This is a different program in that we use professionals. So we use local contractors to do that. So, but let's back up at the beginning. So in about 15 years ago, we were seeing lots of houses being tagged and bulldozed because, they had a leaky roof. And if you have a leaky roof, then it gets in the walls, and then the walls start crumbling, and you have health issues with family members, and it's just a really bad situation. So you have to have a good roof. And we saw that as an issue in North Waco where we were serving. and we were like, how do we address this? That's a big issue. So that's where we recruited a group called Bounce out of. They're a national group, but they're mostly focused out of Dallas to come and do some roof repair with us. So we've done that for many, many years. And then in about 7 years ago, we started using funds, federal funds, CDBG funds, to hire contractors to do roofs. And we do that throughout the year. So for the last about 6 years, we've had a grant from the city of Waco. They allocate us a certain amount of funds, and then we take applications for folks who want to get their roof repaired. So it's a great program because it's if the family lives in the city of Waco, and I have to stress that, can't stress that enough. Mm-hmm. It's only for folks that live in the city of Waco and they're low income. Then this is a potential source for them to get a new roof. Now we're trying to address the critical needs. So if you have a shingle flying off your roof, that's not a critical need. Right. But a critical need is like the lady we just helped like 3 weeks ago. So we had that thunderstorm 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. It rained 4 or 5 inches. Every time she heard thunder, she would go run to her kitchen, get her pots and pans and bowls, and she knew exactly where to put them, and to catch all the water coming through her roof. Well, she applied. We were able to fix her roof literally 2 days before that rainstorm. Wow! And then she said, "And the thunder, it thundered in the middle of the night." She said she heard the thunder and she ran to the kitchen, and then she picked up her pots. Wait a minute, I don't have to do that now. She goes, I was so happy. That she didn't have to do that anymore. So now that house, we've got a nice 25, 30-year shingle roof on there. It's good for a long time. So that's one less vacant lot of the future for us. So that's
absolutely, and it would evolve into that probably 30, 40 years, who knows, or less. Correct. Maybe. Yeah, and so that's a great opportunity. Now let's talk a little bit about the qualification, like you're talking about. I'm sure it gets down to the dollars and cents and who and how, where it is, the percentage of income and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
And is there credit involved? What is a qualification?
So I brought an application with me today.
Good. Okay.
And it's it has a lot of paper, but it's not that difficult. Mm-hmm. So if you flip on the inside, you can see the income qualifications for homeowners. So if you're a single person, it's $36,800. But if they're more than that, so it tells you the family size. So say you're a family of 4, you can go up to $52,550. So you have to make less than that, and that counts all the income of the house. So if there's one person, it's just one, but if there's 2 people, it's going to count both. So that's the first 2 qualifications. It has to be in the city of Waco. Mm-hmm. So just because your mailing address says Waco doesn't mean it's the city of Waco. So some of the perimeter area has that confusion. So I always tell people to go look in the county McClintock, where you can look up your tax records. Does it say that you pay taxes to the city of Waco? Yes. Then it qualifies. So, but like I said earlier, we are working on critical needs. So we prioritize our work. So we're going to give points for elderly and what's your age. We're going to give points for the disabled, and we're going to give points for people that have young children, and then we're going to give points for the condition of the home. So based on those priorities, we're going to work has the most points first, and then and work our way down the point system for that. So it's not very hard to fill out. It's mainly reading and putting some basic information, signing it. But along with that, we also give every family some information about lead paint, lead
That's
practices.
what we talked about last week with
Marcus,
Renisha and Marcia.
Yeah. So one of the things we do is we give one of these out to every family that applies as well. So we want everybody to be well aware of the dangers of lead and lead paint and how they can protect their family. And that's what this document is. So everybody gets a copy of that. Whether they get served or not, they're going to get a copy of that. So it takes us a little process to work through all of our applicants. So we have to process their application, and then we have to go and get bids from. We will ask 5 or 6 different roofing contractors here in town to give us bids on what it would cost to do that, and then we'll hire one of them to do the work. So,
so you're infusing money into the local economy based on the people who live and work in our community and everything else. That's really good.
And
he just joined us. We're visiting with Mike Stone, who is the Executive Director of Grassroots. Great organization. Are you a 501c3?
We are a 501c3.
Yeah. So you all operate as nonprofit, and I'm sure you rely on the community contributing and helping fund a lot of the operations and things. It's not just your stockholders, your board, should I say, and not stockholders, but
no, we don't have stockholders.
Misquoted there, but anyway. Just a group of people who have the right heart for our community. But yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure your application that you just shown us right there, you probably have that available in Spanish and in multiple, whatever. So and you all will help them with the paperwork as far as well.
Correct. You can come to our office, and we'll help you with that. We'll be masked up and all that. And then it's available on our website. You can go to grassrootswaco.org, and you can find the application there. We can email it to you, whatever means we need to do that. We're willing to help people along the way. So
those of you who are listening by radio or by a podcast, not our benefit of our television, Mike is wearing shorts today because he, first of all, did not know this was going to be a TV program as well. And we're so used to with masks. He came in with his mask, and we're now social distancing and things. Plus, you are regularly outside in this time of the year, and it's still hot.
Yes.
And so I kind of caught you off guard on that. But
yeah, I came from 2 different house projects that were going on.
That's right. So that's at least explaining that. But the things that you all are do now, the qualifications, we've kind of shared that. It's the same pretty much as you talked about with the lead-based thing,
right?
Income level and all that. And Renisha and Marcus last week talked about that. So it's and Spanish speakers, we certainly can take care of that as far as as far as that card goes.
Yeah, we have person in our office speaks fluent Spanish and help us with that, and we have other community members that can help us as well. So, and that hasn't been an issue. So if people have, if they need Spanish being translated for them, we can accommodate them for that.
Before we went on the air, you told me the fact that this year's funds have basically run out. So there is a cap of the amount of funds that you have available each year. But the good news is, this is an October 1st. Becomes some new funds available.
Correct. In a couple of weeks, we'll
talk a little bit about that, and,
sure.
and so there is a little bit of a competition, so to speak, because you talked about the pointing system, but we're starting out a brand new year, so the funding is going to be available probably pretty much until you get in after the first year, maybe start tightening up or whatever else.
Right. We're going to work it in priority order, so we're going to take all our application. We're asking everybody to turn their application in by October 23rd. We have a little bit of processing we have to do. We've got to look through all the paperwork, look through all the documentation that's there, and do some calculations. We have some back information we have to do with the state, and because it has federal funds in it, so it takes a little bit of time to process it through that. I forgot your question now.
Well, no, as far as the amount of the cap of the funds running out of funds.
Yeah,
we've
been fortunate. We've been able to get a grant from the city of Waco every year. So it's the calendar year for that grant starts in October. So I believe we're going to get some more funds in October, and we'll be able to start doing some more applications. So October 23rd is what we're kind of asking people to have as turn your applications in by then, and then we're going to process all of those and work our way. We'll continue to take applications beyond that, but you may not make the first run of that batch of projects that we have there.
Well, again, now this is a grant. This is not a loan. It's not a payback situation.
Correct.
So they don't have to qualify for credit and things like that.
Right.
They have to qualify based on their income, the overall income for the house.
The need, yes. we have a lot of folks that are, worried, hey, how much is it going to cost? I can't afford very much. I'm like, no, this is a grant. So, you have to be truthful about what you're telling us here, and we're going to validate it to make sure that you are telling us the truth. But it is a grant. So we always tell everybody, we're sending contractors to you. Here's the people that you should see. If somebody's asking you for money, that's not right. Tell me, and then we will fix that. So we've never had that occur. I mean, all the guys we use are very reputable guys. They're the names you see in town, all over town, that are doing roofs for everybody else, and that's what we like. We're using local people to help fix local problems, so we really appreciate it.
It's basically a win-win for the community as a whole.
It is.
Because not only are we fixing the roofs that need to be fixed for those people who cannot afford and need to keep their house from going downhill as it is,
right.
but it's infusing that money that they're being paid their bid price as it is.
Right.
It's an interesting question now. You're saying you get bids from 3 or 4, 5 or 6 different companies, all local. Do you see them all kind of changing? I mean, from time to time, shifting. Sometimes this guy's low, this guy's.
It's different every time.
Really, that's interesting.
Yeah, that may be based on their volume. What they can squeeze into it. One of the roofers really likes to do it because he gets to meet the homeowners and interact with them. He said, this is we. For him, it's not a huge volume of roofs that he gets, but he goes, I really enjoy doing this because I get to serve people with our skills that we do.
Absolutely. So. You told us one kind of case history. Do you have some other stories maybe you could share with us? Because to me, the best way to let people know is the fact that we are changing lives, we're touching lives, and that's what Grassroots specifically is interested in doing.
Yeah, my favorite story is probably a lady. I went to go visit her. She asked for some other help. We had a group that was going to come and do some house painting. This is 3 years ago, and she wanted some help with painting the outside of her house. So I went to her house, and when I drove up, I could see there was a big patch on the roof. That somebody had just kind of done. It wasn't done very well on the roof.
Not one of your professional roofers.
No, it was not done professionally. So. And she came to the door, and we came in and sat down in her living room, and I noticed there was about a dozen pots and pans scattered out throughout her house. And so I started talking to her about the painting and everything, and then I said, well, we can do that, but why do you have all these pots here? And she goes, well, when it rains, I catch all the rain so it doesn't get on my floor. So why don't we talk about that? She goes, what are you talking about? So I was able to tell her about the program, and then literally 3 months later, we were able to put a new roof on her house, and she was able to not have those pots and pans around there. So she was doing her best to address the issue, but that's not good. And
catching the rainwater, unless you're going to repurpose it or something.
Yeah, outside catch it to use for your garden, but not inside.
That's exactly right. Well, maybe save on the cost of pots and pans too a little bit.
Yeah.
But those are interesting stories, though, and I love to hear those because, again, you're changing lives. You're impacting lives of people who do not know. And that's the purpose of this program, is to be able to educate and inform you about what programs are available.
Right.
And the city of Waco has these funds available. We see the impact you guys and some of the other partners that we work with are making a difference in lives to our citizens, and these are specific to City of Waco residents. Sad as it is, those people who live in other, Belmead, Lacey, Lakeview, Hewitt, Woodway, Belmead, Robinson, any of the neighboring cities, you may have to check with them to see whether they have anything. But the City of Waco is the one who's we've got that in our budget. In fact, we're recording this on a day that we're having a public meeting tonight. To vote on the budget. That's going to okay the funds that we're talking about here. And we suppose it's going to pass through, but it's a process. And it's something that the city council is so interested in, making sure that our citizens, those vulnerable people especially, those who have immune systems and physical conditions like you talked about, that are needing additional help, there are programs through the federal government, and we administer that, just like the lead-based paint deal.
Yep.
Now, are you all involved at all in the lead-based?
We make a lot of referrals to them.
Okay.
We run across it. I'll see that when I go to look at a house and see the condition of the house. We were like, you can look at a house and say, well, there's cracking and peeling and chalking. Hey, you probably could use some help, especially if there's little children there.
Yeah.
And then we're like, hey, why don't we talk to them? I mean, 2 or 3 of the first houses that they did were ones that we had referred to the city because we ran across the family and knew that they were a need that needed help with our house. So that was great that the city was able to help with that. I mean, in one of them, I remember specifically the children were sick. They had really elevated lead levels. And, once you hear that and then you can see what the impact is to their learning and their behavior, it's like, what do we have to do to help fix this?
Yeah.
And thankfully that grant was there. They were able to help with that. I'm curious to see how that affects the children long term. So I'm very optimistic that it'll be great for them long term.
Absolutely.
So.
You mentioned CDBG, that's Community Development Block Grant Funds.
Yes, sir.
From the federal government. You also mentioned earlier talking about CHOTO. What other funds like CDBG, and maybe explain what CHOTO is?
CHOTO, we like to use acronyms. It's Community Housing Development Organization, okay. CHDO. And it's a different pot of money from the federal government called Home Funds. That's another acronym. And the city gets a certain amount of that every year, and they can allocate it. It's home funds are basically for housing-related fundings. So we've been received some grants over the years to build homes for that. It keeps the cost down. For the homes that we build. We are currently building one in the North Waco area. We have another one we'll be building soon. So, we use those funds to help bring the prices down to make it affordable for families. So we'll build houses, we'll fix roofs. We have community organizers that are out in North, South, and East Waco helping neighborhoods and schools in that area, which schools just now starting back. So, lots of different activities. And then we teach financial literacy and homebuyer education. So we want families, we want more homeowners in our neighborhoods. And the first step is just knowing how you would go about becoming that. Yeah. So we teach that all year round. So.
Well, one of the things we talked about with Marcus and with Renisha last week was some of the other programs they offer that you probably work with too, the rehab program,
right.
The down payment assistance program. So there's all types of things to help our citizens, especially those who are renting, to become homeowners and be part of our community as a permanent basis,
right.
And feel the ownership and be able to pay taxes, and property taxes, which your landlord is doing out of the money you're paying. So those are just processes that are all available, and you help facilitate that, again, with your community partners. But you also do allow people to provide funding to you.
We do.
If you're looking for a tax deduction from a contribution or something, Grassroots is somebody you can serve.
We'll definitely do that. We're a nonprofit, just like a lot of them around town, and we are supported. That's the lifeblood of our organization. Donations. Whether that's individuals or corporate or grants. So, but we survive by that, and we're able to help people like that. We have a little sign in our office that said, "Let's go help some people." So, and we. That's kind of the motto that we go by. So we are, we're not doing for, we're helping. We're not doing for, we're doing with. We're trying to help people along the way.
Mike Stone with Grassroots has been our guest. Mike, I appreciate, first of all, what all you do and the people who helped organize your group, your board members as they are,
right.
And just the continuous outreach to the people in need, the people who need to have a good, safe home, a good roof on their head.
Yeah.
And give a contact number. How do they get in touch with you?
Sure. You can call our office, 254-235-7358, or you can go to our website, grassrootswaco.org.
Right there for you. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Larry.
And we want to thank you for being with us, and we hope you'll join us again next week for more information about the City of Waco on City Talk. This program is produced by the Municipal Information Department of the City of Waco and is provided as a public service by this station.